Many times people have trouble with the way they walk or their posture because of injury, previous surgeries, or sometimes just incorrect movement patterns. Some of this can be corrected by retraining the body into proper movement patterns. And so what I'm going to do today is give you some simple exercises working on some movement patterns that come from your core that can help with your posture and your walking technique. If you're new to the channel, I'm Dr. Todd Martin, creator of The Walking Code. If you do enjoy the video, make sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. These movement pattern exercises are very gentle and appropriate for people of all ages. We're going to begin with our feet wide apart, just a little over shoulder width, angled just slightly outward. And we're going to bring our arms up and around as if we're encircling a very large tree. And what we're going to do is shift our weight towards one leg, and we're going to rotate the entire body towards the opposite leg as we do that. And so from this beginning position, we're going to do that. And then we're going to square the body up with the spine over now my left leg. And then we're going to shift back over to the other side, turning the body towards now my left leg. Then square the body up. We're going to practice this pattern. Shift, square up. Shift, square up. During the shift, we rotate slightly with the entire body and the head just slightly towards the opposite leg as we shift. Square the body up. And we're going to do this for a little bit. You may want to do this with music in your home, or just try to clear your mind as you do it. Try to feel a flow. So it's a gentle wave of emotion. Don't try to push yourself to the other side. We're just going to float to the other side. Float over to the other side with a slight rotation, square up, and then reverse. Keep the chest hollowed by keeping the arms out in front with some intention as if they're trying to reach around either side of the tree as you go. And then bring your attention to your posture. It should be very vertical, as if a string is tied to the crown of your head and pulling up, elongating your spine. And then we want to keep our pelvis in a neutral position. So don't let your pelvis tilt forward like this or over tuck this way. If you have that issue with your posture where your pelvis is tilted forward or over tucked, you may find that the movement doesn't flow and it gets stuck at a certain position. So if we have an anterior pelvic tilt, you may find that you get to here and the movement doesn't continue to flow until your spine is all the way over to the leg. And then that's where we need to make some correction in our posture at the level of the pelvis. And so what we're going to do, and I'll help you with that, as you're turning towards your right leg, if you feel stuck, take your pelvis and using your lower abs, try to tuck it under on the right if we're turning towards the right leg. So if we get stuck here, tuck the pelvis under and have that almost push you over to the other side. And then we're going to square up and do it again. If you feel stuck here, tuck the pelvis. As you're tucking the pelvis under on the side of the leg you're facing, so just on the left, I'm tucking that pelvis, you're going to be taking the upper waist, using the arm to reflect that, and turn it actively towards that leg. So I'm actively rotating towards my left leg. I'm actively tucking the pelvis on the left as I move towards my right leg. And then just keep doing that flow and think of what I just said about that pelvis motion if you're having any problems being stuck. So we should get all the way over to the leg. So my knee is lined up over my ankle there, if we're doing it correctly. And in a second, I'm going to explain a little bit more what we're doing, because we need to start to understand how the core is guiding and powering our movements, because these movements we're doing here are the same movements we are doing when we are walking and the same movements we are doing when we are just standing with optimal posture. So as I rotate towards my right leg, what we're doing with our core, and when I talk about the core, I'm talking about my waist muscles, upper waist and lower waist muscles, so abdominal muscles, and the muscles that control my hip joints. And so these muscles are guiding all of the movements that we do when we're standing with upright posture. So as I shift towards my left leg and turn towards the right leg, I'm using the upper waist to turn towards the right leg, and I'm using my arm to guide that, to reflect that. And I'm using my lower abs also turning towards the right leg. Use your belly button to reflect that. So turn your upper waist and with your left arm towards the right leg, and turn your belly button towards the right leg. The belly button goes along with the tucking action because it's reflecting the lower abs. The lower abs are rotating and tucking at the same time, the right lower abs. The other side of the lower abs are passive while we're doing this. And likewise, when I go to the left leg, turning that way, my left lower abs become active and the right lower abs become passive. So I'm tucking here on the left, I'm not tucking on the right. That allows me to sink into this right leg. If I tuck my pelvis on the right at the same time, you're going to start to fall forward and fall away from that position. So we're turning everything towards the leg we're moving away from. And then the final thing to understand is the power. The power comes from the muscles controlling your hip joints. The power, as I shift this way, is coming from my right hip muscles, flexing or pulling. So we think about flexing the hip. If you think about it like that way, sinking into the hip, we're using our muscles in the front of the abdomen that go down into the leg. These muscles flex the pelvis forward, or alternatively, they pull the leg up. And so what we can think about is flexing the hip this way and rotating all of the upper and lower waist muscle core into that flexing hip. So everything recedes into that motion. So just practice that on one side. Start in a neutral position and rotate everything. Left upper waist, right lower waist, and flex the hip. And we end up here. Now when we square up, what we're going to do is just change the belly button, the lower abs. I'm going to keep this, the upper waist, in the same position. I'm going to continue flexing my right hip. And I'm just going to take my belly button and turn it to the left. And that squares me up. Now I'm going to shift to the other side. I already have the belly button here going to the left. So all I need to do is take the upper waist and turn it to the left and flex the left hip, shifting over. Then belly button, and then switch sides. Turn the belly button to square up, shift sides. Turn the belly button to square up, And then we just repeat that pattern. And then just try to make it flow so it's one continuous motion. If you have a posture that tends to be what we call lordotic, where you have a big arch in your back, this tends to go along with the anterior pelvic tilt. Make sure that as we're doing this, you're using energy from your arms reaching around that tree. That's going to prevent the overextension of your upper back. A lot of people who have lordotic posture end up with upper back and neck problems because of this constant tension, where the lower back is having an exaggerated arch and the upper back is pulled back with an exaggerated tension in the upper back muscles that can strain the neck and the upper back. So we're taking our arms and keeping them reaching around the tree in front of us to round the back. And at the same time, we have to engage the lower abs correctly to keep the position. If you have that sort of posture issue, doing the yoga cat and cow pose on the ground on your knees, where you're going to flex your back this way and then round it this way, that helps stretch out those lower back and hip muscles to help you be able to do this movement properly. Now we're going to transition to the next exercise, and it's going to flow right from exercise number 1. So we're doing the movement which we just learned. And after we square up, we're going to collect the weight onto one leg, and your foot should be along the line of your lower leg, and you can have it just touching the ground if you have some balance issues, or you can pull it up a little bit along the lower leg if your balance is a little bit better, and try to hold this balance. Then we're going to step back out and begin shifting again. And after we go towards the right leg, square up. We're going to bring or collect the left leg to the right leg and then hold this balance position. Hold it for 10 seconds. If you can hold it for 30 seconds, that's great. It's going to really help with your balance and with your posture. And in just a second, I'm going to show you what's going on with the core so you can consciously control this posture. We're going to step back out and begin the motion. So right now, as I explained in exercise 1, I have my upper waist reaching around or turning towards the right. I've taken my belly button or my lower abs and turned it towards the left. That goes along with a tucking of the pelvis, because the lower abs, think of belly button rotation and tucking on that side. And I have my right hip flexing. That's how I got over here. That's the power, flexion of the right hip. So now what I want to do to collect all of the weight and the leg over one leg, it's not a movement of the leg we need to do, it's a movement of the upper core, because it's the upper core that's keeping my leg over here. After I do this shift, my lower abs are rooting that leg, and the upper waist is also turning towards that leg. I'm now turning my belly button here to square up, so I've just removed the root from my right leg. Now I need to remove this upper waist rotation energy from that right leg. I'm turning towards it, keeping it on the ground. So to collect this leg, I need to take my upper waist on this side and close it. And that's going to close the entire core towards my left leg. My upper abs are turning towards the left leg. The lower abs are turning towards the left leg and tucking the pelvis on the left. And I'm flexing my right hip. That's what gets us into this stable position. I'll do it from the side view. We're closing the upper waist, and that's what allows us to collect the right leg to the left leg and make sure that you have a tucked pelvis and energy reaching around the tree from the upper waist. If you're tilted this way, tuck the pelvis under. That's going to allow you to keep your balance. And so your balance is not just one part of your body. Your balance is in your lower core, but it's also in your hip muscles and it's also in your upper waist muscles together. Now I'm going to progress to the next phase of the exercise where we're going to take these basic movements and then move into a forward step and a backward step using the same patterns. And this is going to help you retrain your walking and posture. If you're interested in progressing along with me, you'll need to jump over to my website, which will be linked above or in the description section, and join the Walking Code archive. That's where I'm going to be having more of my long form content these days, because unfortunately, when I get into too much detail on YouTube, the videos don't get that much attention and end up getting relegated to the YouTube trash heap. So for more of my detailed content, I'm going to be, from now on, posting it over on the website through the Walking Code archive. Also at the Walking Code archive, you'll be able to find all of my other YouTube videos nicely categorized by topic, and that'll really help you along your walking and posture journey. Hope to see you over there.